There we go.
Welcome everybody, including folks online. I know we've got Dubé and I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, and Jenny standing by online waiting to join us. I know some other folks, and we've got folks here in the room, of course. It is the September 21st, 2018 Learning and Development Roundtable. Welcome, welcome. I have to say I'm a little obsessed about this topic. I've seen Simon Sinek speak live, and I've got his book, and I've watched his video, and I've got his workbook. So I'm really looking forward to diving into that. So I want to welcome.
Sorry.
Hey, welcome. We've just gotten started. So and we're live. So we're on Facebook Live.
Okay.
Just a couple of kind of housekeeping types of things before we dive in. I did a poll on Facebook about if we want to have how we've kind of been doing a 50-50 guest speaker and networking session. Networking is what we're doing today, so I'll kick it off by 15-20 minutes of content, and then folks will work in small groups. People wanted a little bit more guest speakers than networking, so I'll ask you this question again at the end of the session, but I'm suggesting that we have a guest speaker based on that poll results for November. We've got next month's guest speaker. User experience, Mark Kamau is coming. He's the head of UX from the BRIC. Awesome, so excited to have him. And actually, Mark, he might be online or coming today, so we'll see. Ideally, I'd like to get that sorted today. What your preference is of what topic at least you'd like for the November meeting. Also, Sonia, who is in Rwanda, and Yukabeth, we're teaming up. We're going to make a video about the roundtable. So kind of what it is, what we do here, so that hopefully we can help more people start roundtables. So if there's something that you want to know about the roundtable, you think if you were going to start one or you just wanted to know more about it, please feel free to drop me that question or put it into the Facebook roundtable group. I'd love to see those. Also, start thinking about nominations. Every year, the balance of the donations that we collect at every meeting, we donate to an education-based organization. So there'll be a nomination process, but think about who you'd like to nominate. Also, donation. You might think my math is off. The UN name badges cost $300, but if you're able to without it causing angst or pain, the suggested donation is $1,000. And you think, why are you asking for $1,000 versus the $300? It's because the difference goes, we donate that. So I know some of you have already, but if you haven't, please feel free to donate. Put your moolah in here. If it's easier for you, you can M-Pesa me, and my number's on here. So we'll just pass that around. Oh, okay. This is a big win. As much as I've been excited to see we're almost at 600 people on our list, on the Learning and Development list. Having people sign up has always been a bit of a hassle on my end, but now I've got my grown-up panties on, my big girl panties. I have a sign-up link. So if you are not familiar, I'll just bring up this URL here. And I'll put this in the, so this is my brand new website. It's just launched recently. And if you go to the resources section, and folks on Facebook, I'll copy and paste this in here. In the resources section, there is the Learning and Development Roundtable. Okay, and it would really make me feel good because this was like a year and a half of blood, sweat, and tears getting this thing up. When you see the click, can you just do a little ooh and ah? Like it would really make me feel good. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, and clapping would even okay, here we go. Come on, Angel. Ooh. This took a lot. Okay. So I will copy this and put this in the thing. So if you have someone who's interested, you don't need to email me anymore. Just send them this link. And then it automatically, they get added and poof, easy done, ease, efficiency, ta-da! Okay, and then just one other quick housekeeping thing. So for those of you who this might be your first meeting, we normally have a resource library. Hi, welcome. And truth be told, it got a little bit, like, my heart kind of went, of trying to keep track of who had what, and they didn't bring it back, and emailing and texting and la la la. And it didn't really seem super popular, so I've kind of made the decision to, like, it doesn't seem to be a big thing, so I don't think we're going to do it anymore. And if that's made your heart kind of go, oh, but I really wanted to borrow this particular thing, like, we had this one come back, which is an amazing resource. Like, feel free, like, you can borrow it. It's not a problem. I'm just not going to bring them, every meeting. It's my new sort of ease and efficiency mantra. So, yeah. Comments, questions, kind of housekeeping kinds of things before we dive into the topic. Other than who the heck are these wonderful people in the room, which we're going to find out in just a second. Do you have any questions about the process, about getting onto the site, getting onto Facebook Live, etc.? Okay, then I have a task, well, I have a little exercise for you. It's one of my, I haven't done it, I don't think, with this group. It's one of my favorites. I have like hundreds of paint samples in here, okay? And the cool thing about paint samples is I think they have really neat names, like, okay, maybe that's not so interesting. Mediterranean teal, or Caribbean teal, etc. So I encourage you to pick one at random and introduce yourself to a person that is near you. And we'll have one group of 3, and I'll work with the folks online, and see what kind of story comes up from the name of that color. Now, if your blood pressure has just skyrocketed and you think, I'm not a storyteller, I can't do this, just kind of do a free word association. It might remind you of a trip you took, like in terms of Mediterranean teal, it might remind you of your roots in Greece, or that report you wrote in grade 2 on Greek something mythology or whatever. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's just a way to kind of help us dive into thinking big and creatively and innovatively. Okay? So to recap, grab a paint color, and if you're sitting beside someone that you already know, you can continue that, or you may want to switch up. There'll be one group of 3. Introduce yourself, and also talk a little bit about what that color reminds you of. Okay? So I'm just going to grab a few for the folks online, and then we will pass those around. So for the folks online, I'm just trying to find you on my, oh, there we are. Okay, so I can see you on my screen now. Kennedy, is it still filming? Because it looks like it's stopped here.
No, it says live.
Oh, I see, okay. So for the folks online, sometimes the internet stops us a bit. Okay. So, hey Juliet, welcome. So glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so I can see Juliet and Dubé. And by the way, Dubé, if that's not how you say your name, I apologize. I've got some colors here. So I'm going to hold them up, and feel free to introduce yourself. pardon me. And if there's something that the color reminds you of, a story or whatever, feel free. So I'm just going to hold up a couple examples. Okay, so here is one of them. Kennedy, am I holding that in a place where they can see it?
Yes, we can see that.
Okay, so there's one. Okay, so the ones on there are Caribbean Mist, Little Boy Blue, Tidal Wave, and Electric Blue. So I'll just... I'm just writing this comment in the comment section. So Juliet and Dubé, I put an example there. Feel free to add one if you want. Introduce yourself. Just say hi if you want. Whatever feels right. And I've just put an example. The tidal wave one spoke to me. I've just relaunched my website, and it took about a year and a half to do that. Part of that was getting the sign-up process made much easier for the roundtable. So I feel like I've had this huge tidal wave of learning, which has been great. A little overwhelming, and sometimes I felt like I'm drowning, but mostly I feel like I'm just surfing these big waves. So it's just been really fun. Okay, I can see we've got a couple other people online. Feel free to, I can't see from here who you are, but feel free if you want to introduce yourself, say hi. We are doing some color swatches as a way of introducing ourselves, so if that speaks to you, feel free to do that. I've written them in the comment section. So. Okay, folks, do you need more time?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, okay. And I would love it if you, in the back of your mind, if you can also just, as you start to close this exercise, also introduce yourself to the group. So after you finish with your partner, we'll just do a quick go around, and then we'll launch into finding your why. So welcome. So glad you guys joined us online. It's always kind of a magical moment when you can do these with the click of a button. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I will, in the, let me think, I'm going to add if you haven't had a chance, I put lots and lots and lots of information in this month's agenda. So I'm going to put that link in the comment section. If you haven't already, make sure that you pull that up because there's a ton of information there.
So the green color for me, I don't think all this ties down to my wife.
I'm thinking of the shower.
This is So,
Yeah, no.
I think I ask myself, what more technical analysis about this Kennedy's experience? Now you have one minute really good sentence.
Hi, Caroline. Welcome,
It doesn't make
welcome.
sense.
Saw your like there. Thank you, thank you. I'm just typing in the link to the agenda if you haven't got it from the one I emailed out.
Translate it just because.
And again, there's I put a lot of information on that agenda about the process. So please feel free to click on it. You probably want to have that handy, so that will make the process much easier. Okay, rebel rousers, change makers. If I can have your attention back to the large group. And for those of you online, Kennedy's behind the camera, so I want to say a thumbs up and thank you to him. Kennedy, if it works for you to film folks as we go around, that would be great. Or actually, maybe I can start with you. So we're just going to go around. If we want to kind of go through this process, she says, nudging you gently to be brief, because you're going to have lots of time to work in small groups. But for this point, if you just want to say your name, and one other thing about you. It can be something related to the paint chip or something related to what you do, a role you play, whatever you like. So a name, your name, and one other thing about you. Kennedy, you want to go first?
Thank you. My name is Kennedy Wabule. I work here with the UN. I picked green, right? And for me, one of my hobbies is the great outdoors, and especially camping, right? Yeah. And that's why I was very keen also to follow this particular topic today, because I really want to see how I can tap into my passion when it comes to work.
Nice. And he's got a copy of the book, which is great. So yeah, great. Welcome, Kennedy.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Irene Kirumi. I work with the Action Against Hunger, the USA arm of it. I also picked green, but different from Kennedy's. Mine was apple green, lime green. So I had an interesting story. It was really not much about me. But I picked green because it's also, I like the summer lime. Because for me, I like those cool moments when you can just take time to unwind. I think after, like a long day, from work, and yeah, just spending time with those that really, I think, also really matter to me.
Nice, nice. Welcome, Amy.
Hi everybody, my name is Sabira, and by profession I'm a corporate banker. I stopped working a few years ago to pursue my passion. My color was red, and that was, I chose it deliberately. It's a color that speaks out to me. It's a color I find attractive, and I'm pursuing my hobby now of interior decor. Which is why I'm here, because I really want to go to another level.
Oh, nice.
But I'm not getting there, and I'm hoping that this will cement, kind of similar to what you've just said, that you're trying to see how you can get there. So that's my story for today.
Lovely. And Kennedy and I, just so you know, are going to be the voices of the folks online. So Juliet has replied. The colors that I showed folks included tidal wave, and she says, I'll take tidal wave blue because I am at a place where I have to step up and take the lead role at work and personally, I have to prove that I can take the lead and run with the projects that I'm doing. Juliet, that's great. Oh, lovely. Thanks. And feel free, other folks online, if you feel compelled to do the same and introduce yourself.
So hi everyone, I'm Alima. I'm a life coach and I run Women Who Hike. I'm an adventure seeker. Yes.
Heard about
That's
so cool.
So I picked, actually this was interesting for me because I'm going to be very quick about this. This reminded me of a time when I did go skydiving. So as you rise up, you kind of go through the layers of the sky where the clouds are still down. So it's still whitish, and as you go through the clouds, it's turning into a bit of a lighter blue, and then back into a pretty, it's called passion blue. And then once you're ready to take that leap, and that reminds me of a time when you're so ready to take that leap between maybe the corporate world and entrepreneurship, for example, and you're scared. But once you take that leap, what's out there is incredible. And so for me, this was the ocean because I did it in Diani, and so it's called Blue Lake, and that's what I saw from up there, and it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. So
Wow.
that's mine.
And I'm sorry, Juliet, you said your name was Julia?
Alima.
Oh, right, sorry. She says feeling embarrassed. Okay. By the way, I'm just making, I thought sometimes it's helpful to also see what you're hearing. So to folks online, we can swing this around, and I've got up on the screen a list of people that are participating online as well as in person. So yellow means you're here, you're present. Green means you're online. And sometimes it's just helpful. I've hidden your personal information, so I'm not sharing your ID numbers and all that kind of stuff. But this is who's here as well. Okay, Erica.
Hi. Some of you have heard me maybe online, Skyping in. I'm from China. I have been coming to the L&D Roundtable for a while. My name is Erica Zachary. I am a leader and a consultant, and I picked this color because, as I was telling the ladies, it reminds me of home I grew up in Southern California, and we have sort of this red clay everywhere in the West, and it's the same color that I saw when I first came to Kenya, because this is the color of the soil here, so I felt like I was home. So that's why I selected this, and happy to be here.
Great. Welcome.
Hi. I volunteer at Independent Disabled Persons of Kenya. I chose this color at random. So I just think you're just choosing the color so I don't know. It had to be stated, but I think for me this color, it gives a good ambience, like an atmosphere of chilling and relaxing. Yes. And that's how. So
Nice.
Yes.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Jodie Blois. I work as an intercultural trainer here in Kenya. I picked this sort of random, but also I do like the colors, but then the description was gray day. And I don't like gray days, I like sunlight. So, and related to the topic, I think if you find your why, you avoid gray, boring days, and you get more sort of excited.
Nice. Welcome, Jody.
Hi, my name is Eva Panakia. I'm a corporate coach. I'm new to Nairobi, 8 weeks and counting. Moran asked me, are you picking by color or intuitive? And I was like, of course intuitive. You know, I'm also a Reiki master. And I picked the color, and then I look at the name, and it's Mediterranean teal, what we started from. And the first image that came to mind was the first time I got to, one of the times I got to snorkel in Tanzania, and a huge, huge turtle did a 45-degree ascension right in front of me. And I'm from New York City. I'm a city mouse. I married Indiana Jones, and I get to do all this wild camping and adventure stuff. And I've been in Africa 10 years, and I'm really looking forward to settling in, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity to meet people.
How did you hear about us?
Through Salam.
Okay.
She's been attending, and she's like a network superpower person.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna jump in here. Dubé says, tidal wave blue, because I'm getting started with a new project for my organization, a tide of empowering. Oh, I love that, I love that. A whole lot of work still to do. Oh, I'd wish you good luck, but I don't think you need it. So, thanks, Dubé.
And I'll go next. Hi, I'm Moran, and I've been here for 5 weeks in Kenya. I've come for 6 months to see what I can learn and contribute to conflict transformation, which is what I usually do, and social innovation. So I'm really keen to learn how people are dealing here with diversity. So Yodi invited me to come to this place to see what together we could do to actively learn from situations in Kenya. And I'm also curious about really great social and sustainable, innovative initiatives in this city.
Welcome, welcome. Wambui's just joined us and says, I'm attending partly as I wait to go into a meeting. Hope to get much before I leave. Sound is audible. Okay, I'd ask people about the sound. Welcome, Wambui. So nice to have you. And just, I wrote this in the text in the comments, but we really want to make you feel, all those participating online, we want you to feel as welcome as possible. So if the sound ever dips or there's something happening that is making it hard for you to participate, just let us know. Not sure if we can give you a shot of caffeine if you're tired, like I can't do that kind of thing, but if there's anything within that we can do to make you feel like you're in the room with us participating, I'm happy to do that. Okay, and I'm Leanne. I don't think I said, I'm Leanne. I'm the founder and facilitator of the Learning and Development Roundtable. We are approaching our 6th year anniversary, if you can believe it. All 6 years of meetings are online. So in the emails that I send out, there's an icebreaker database and a participant database and all the meeting resources. So please dive into those if you feel called by that. And I'm super excited to do this session on finding your why. So I'm hoping you saw in the email, ideally to have brought the agenda because there's a ton of information in there. I had my virtual assistant actually copy out a number of pages, like transcribe them from the book. And then I've included some other resources as well. So unless there's any other questions about the introductions, my proposal to you is I'll spend, I don't know, 15 minutes or so kind of explaining the process as I know it. And by the way, I'm not an expert in this. I've just, like you, some of you have read the book. And I've kind of summarized how to find your why, included a bunch of resources. I'll explain all of that, and then it'll be up to you to stir your pot of magic and work with a partner to do that process. Any questions about that or concerns or? Okay. Well, I thought we'd start off with my little friend here, and Kennedy, I don't know if you can make this. And just while I'm getting this ready, I do need to take these back, so please don't leave the room with these, by the way, the color swatches. I've got like 3 huge closets full of program supplies, and one of the new ones is this. Kennedy, can they see it?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go.
Is this little, it's got to be on a really, whoops. Oh, come on. You worked very well this morning when I tried you. There we go. Okay. Is this little zombie? Okay, and I'll do it on the side in just a sec. I think that with no judgment attached to this, a lot of folks are kind of going through life, kind of, right, without a lot of deep reflection about what are you passionate about? What is exciting to you? And I think that we all have that, and if we can discover that, then we can better able share our gifts with the world. So the idea of having your heart ablaze. I love this quote here. The heart sets ablaze when you tune into your soul's symphony. Okay. Now this might sound a little bit woo-woo if you're more head-oriented, and we're going to have a very specific process for how to do this. But I think the idea of really taking off, if you're clear about what sets your heart, your heart ablaze, what sets your soul ablaze. Because we, the world, need what it is that you're passionate about. I also included this text, this quote from Simon Sinek. Fulfillment is a right and not a privilege. Every single one of us is entitled to feel fulfilled by the work we do. To wake up feeling inspired to go to work, to feel safe, when we're there, and to return home with the sense that we contributed to something larger than ourselves. Right? So Simon Sinek is the author of a couple of different books. He first wrote a book called Find Your Why, which is red. The cover is red, not blue. And then this is this came out after, and it's the workbook of how to actually find your why. And years ago, I attended a conference where he spoke, and he gave everyone one of these little things, which is his big thing about your how, your why, and your what. So I'll pass that around. I'm going to take a look. And I wondered, would it be helpful to see a 5-minute video of his work? Has anyone seen his TED Talk?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So there's a 5-minute summary which I've got queued up, but I'm happy to do this as you wish. Would it be helpful to watch this, or do you kind of feel like I kind of have a general sense and let's move on?
It's nice to watch. Huh?
Nice to watch.
Nice to watch?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm going to quickly share this in the. Thanks, Juliet. Okay. So I'm sharing the link in the Facebook, our Facebook Live. And I thought, Kennedy, it's ready to queue up on the screen here, so I'll play it if you want to. Yeah. So folks online, you can either watch it separately if you want to get clearer resolution, or you can watch it from our screen as well. So let me just.
I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat-screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat-screen TVs. They've been making flat-screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products. and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. When we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. You know, sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures, and you say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right. Because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart, or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal?
Okay. So that was a summary of a much longer talk, right? That's that, and you can look that up on Facebook Live or on YouTube if you like. Okay, so I just took the liberty of taking some notes about this because how many people have I should have asked this earlier, including folks online. How many people have heard of Simon Sinek's work? You've read his book and or watched a video and or you kind of the idea of a why is familiar. Okay. And how many people? Anyone is this totally new for? Okay, great. Okay. Okay, and wherever you're coming from in that spectrum is, of course, totally fine. So what I did is I took notes from his book and I put those in the agenda. So my plan is I'll just summarize those things really quickly. And by the way, you might think like ethically, like he doesn't do any, I don't think he does any certification to do this process, but he has a workbook, so I think ethically it's fine to share that process. Okay, so and again, this is all on your agenda. So your why, and in that clip, by the way, he was using an example of an organization, but this works for individuals. And in the workbook, he has a section for if you're doing it as an individual, and there's a section on if you're doing it as a team. But the process really works for both. So your why is what you stand for. It's your purpose, your cause, your belief. It's what you care about. It's what you would do without getting paid for it, right? It's important to you. It has a deeper, more emotional, and ultimately more influential value to you. When you're operating from your why, you have an alliance with something bigger, right? There is a cause, there is a higher purpose, there is a calling. It speaks to your limbic brain, okay, which is what he was talking about. And our limbic brain is the base of our brain, the oldest parts of our brain that we have in common with reptiles. And our limbic brain is not responsible for language. It doesn't understand language. It's all about feelings. It's about your gut. It's about guiding your behavior. How we feel about something or someone is more powerful than what we think about it or them. This limbic brain is really, really strong. And that's why you see people making decisions that aren't necessarily rational. It's their limbic brain, right, that's guiding them. Your why can be your point of reference for everything you do going forward. It's your frame, right? What fits into your frame and what doesn't fit in your frame. It can bring ease and efficiency because it points towards what lights you up, what should you say yes to, what should you press the accelerator on, what should you celebrate and focus on, and what should you like nice but not in my wheelhouse. I'm probably mixing metaphors, I do that a lot. It's an important part of the jigsaw puzzle, which means it's easier to see what fits inside that puzzle and what doesn't. It's your origin story. right? It's your core fundamental parts of you. And everyone has one, whether they know it or not, whether they're aware of it. It's not a statement. This is really important when you're doing your process. And this is just, you know, what Simon is recommending based on his years of experience with this. It is not aspirational. Okay? Your why statement isn't who you aspire to be. It's what you already are when you're at your natural best. Right? And ultimately, it comes down to filling in two blanks. To blank, which is your contribution. Right? So you're going to try to figure out what your contribution is, so that blank, and that's your impact. Okay? So the process for doing that is to work in pairs, and there'll be one group of, actually I guess, yeah, there'll be one group of three. And the process goes like this. There's a story gatherer, okay? And the story gatherer, their role is to ask open-ended questions, okay? Which are questions that you cannot answer with a yes or no. And ironically, I thought this was quite lovely. The story gatherer, he suggests don't ask why questions. Okay, even though you're trying to find your why, for story gatherers, don't ask why questions because they're harder to answer and they trigger the part of your brain that doesn't have language. It triggers your limbic brain. Okay? So don't say something like, why did that story matter to you? Okay? But rather, what is it about that story that really matters to you? Okay? So it's just a subtle difference there. And he suggests use silence. So don't rush in. When you ask a question, don't rush in to ask a backup question if the person doesn't know the answer. Just let that silence rest there. And by the way, just want to welcome Caroline. She also picked, she picked Caroline. She picked Caribbean Blue in the introduction. She's anticipating a lot of change, hence this represents dynamism, force, and strength of the ocean, yet calming and serene. Oh, Caroline, that's awesome. That's great. Okay, and then if you look on page 6 in your agenda, my lovely VA, my lovely virtual assistant, I scanned some pages from the book and sent it to him, and he transcribed them. So you'll see there's some tips starting on page 6 in here. Okay. Okay, so that's the story gatherer's role. And the storyteller's role, and by the way, I'll manage the time so that you have time for both of these. You'll be a storyteller and a story gatherer. Okay? So the storyteller is to think about specific experiences and people in your life that have really shaped who you are today. I've done this, and it's really interesting to go back over your life and think, what were the stories that had a big impact on who I am, who really shaped me? And you're looking for the times when you were at your best, right? So that you're not looking for stories where you were uncomfortable, awkward, foreign, unhappy. No, you don't want those. You won't, unless you turn it around and look at the opposite of that. You're looking for things of times when you were at your best. And Marcia Chandour, who is a magical storyteller and a storytelling coach, we've done this together. Her and I work together. And her prompt is always, what did it look like and how did it feel? So if you're kind of getting stuck in that, think about the stories and then think about what did it look like, how did it feel? What did it look like, how did it feel? Would you like to hear an example process? Because I know if I was hearing this, I'd be like, it sounds great, but I need some more. So I'm going to tell you a story. Okay. Kenny, this is on page 63 if you want to follow around. David conducted a why discovery workshop with someone named Todd. The following is a story Todd told David. It's the kind of story you might tell. Many people think they have to tell big stories of major events to find their why. But what's nice about this example is that although it seems like a relatively small story in the scheme of things, David was able to use this story to assist with finding the golden thread that helped Todd articulate his why. So you've got the storyteller and the story gatherer happening here. prior to this story, Todd, and this is a dramatic example, and don't feel like there's any pressure for you to share things that are really intense or personal. If you want to do that, it feels safe to do that, go ahead, but there's no expectation of that. He went to college on a full basketball scholarship, but ended up losing it to drug and alcohol addiction. He had aspired to make it to the NBA, so this more than ended his college career. It also shattered his dreams and his self-identity. He was working at a bar, still battling drug addiction and alcoholism, and contemplating suicide at the time this story took place. Todd, I'd gotten off work and was driving up a winding road on my way home one Saturday morning. I passed a little girl selling lemonade outside her home. On any other day, I would have driven past. For some reason, on this day, I had an inexplicable urge to turn around and give her all my change. I pulled my car up to her lemonade stand and asked, how much is a cup of lemonade? 25 cents, she told me. So I said I would take one. She walked back to the stand to get me a cup of lemonade, and while she was doing that, I scooped out, I've got goosebumps, all the quarters I had on the cup holder in my car. They'd been piling up from all the tips I get at work. I probably had close to $40 in there. The girl handed me the cup of lemonade, and I put a fistful of quarters into her little palms. And then another scoop. By the way, your limbic brain is probably highly activated right now. Stories are a fantastic way to access your why. That's why he suggests this. Each time I watched her eyes light up, she turned and ran into the house full of excitement. I drove away feeling good, as you might expect, but then something happened that I didn't expect. I suddenly became overwhelmed with emotion. I started crying uncontrollably. I was crying so much I had to pull over my car. It was amazing. David, wow, that sounds intense. I'm sure you've done things in the past that made you cry. Of all the stories you could have shared with me, notice the question he asked. What specifically is it about this one that made you choose to share it? Great question. Todd says, it was the first time in my life that I felt I had done something for someone else. It was the first time in my life I hadn't put myself first. This was a huge wake-up call for me. It lit my soul on fire, and for the first time I felt like I mattered. I wanted so much to help others feel like they mattered too. I wanted to help others feel that they could do and be more. From that moment on, I wanted to share with the world what I had felt. By the end of the why discovery, David found a thread of service that ran through many of Todd's most significant stories. As he did with the little girl selling lemonade, Todd's why, you ready for it? Is to ignite people's imaginations about what's possible so that they can find the motivation to do more with their lives. So again, his why is to ignite people's imaginations about what's possible. Okay, that's the contribution. Okay. So that they can find the motivation to do more with their lives. That's the impact. What's magical about Todd's why is that is exactly what happened to him. His imagination was ignited and he was motivated to do more with his life. Cool, huh? Okay, so you might ask then, so you've told some stories, the story gatherer has asked some questions. After that, you want to work together to look at themes. What are the themes that are popping up? Okay, so obviously in this one, what was one of the themes? Yeah, helping someone else, service, being of service, right? That was a key theme. So you want to look for what are things, ideas, or words, or feelings that are repeating, and the theme has to occur in at least 2 stories. Simon says. And by the way, I just put in here a note about values. Values are the flagpole that, this is some of my words, that hold or anchor your ideas, actions, and thoughts. These are really connected to your values, right? And they're the things that you place importance on. And then your ethics are your values and action. Because I think sometimes people think, how does this all have to do with action, or values rather? So then you draft your statement and refine it. And you're probably not going to walk out of here, maybe you will, but don't feel pressure to walk out of here with a finely crafted, exactly perfect wordsmithed why. But what you do have is the process to keep working at it. And you may want to repeat this with other people in your life, some colleagues, some friends, tell because really important thing that he says in the book is that it's really hard for us to find our own why. The themes are so big and so present that we can't see them for ourselves. It takes someone else to say, hey, did you notice that you keep saying this thing? And probably you'll be like, oh, no, actually I didn't. Okay, okay, so questions, comments, does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. Okay, so what I would suggest then is you get in a group of 2, and there'll be one group of 3. I'll work with the folks online. We can play around with some things here, it's about 5 after 11. So if we go maybe 15, I have to do some math here. If we do 15 or 20 minutes, so 20 minutes, 40, yeah. If we do 20 minutes a person, that would be 40 minutes total, okay? And then we'd still have some time to close, okay? In the group of 3, you probably want to do maybe 12, I guess technically 13 minutes each or so, okay? So you've got 20 minutes if you're in a group of 2. I'll take that load off your mind. I'll do the timekeeping, and then you can switch, and then repeat the process. If you want to change that process, if someone says, actually, I really want to be the story gatherer, the story gatherer the whole time, feel free to change up the process as it works for you. Okay? Great. So go ahead and feel free to gather in your groups. Okay. And for the folks online, okay. So normally at this point in a networking session, you have 2 options, and maybe more if you have other ideas. We can do this online and you can write some comments, or I can move the camera around and you can listen to what some other people are saying. So let me know in the comments section which of those 2 processes you would prefer. The generator is coming off and on here. The power's going off, so I know there's a delay.
Yeah, even the internet went off for a while actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you back on now? Are you on Wi-Fi?
I'm not. It'll kick in and again.
Is this on Wi-Fi or is it on GPRS?
It's on Wi-Fi. Yeah.
It's also went offline on mine as well.
So again, just let me know, folks, if you would like to try to work through this process, us being a small group online in real time, with you putting stories, for example, in the comment section, or would you prefer me to film, take the camera around and film some of the other groups, and you can kind of see the process in action. Let me know what your preference is here. is kicking in and out, so apologies for the delay here. I don't know if you can hear the generator in the background here at the UN. Sorry to interrupt. Is it filming? Because on here, my comments are not going through.
Yeah, comments are coming through here.
They are?
Yeah, I can see
my comments? Sorry?
No, can't see your comments.
Yeah, they're showing up grayed out, so I'm. Is anyone? What's the last comment? That's
Last comment is from Juliet.
And it says what?
Listen to what other people are saying.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Juliet, I can't see that on my screen yet. Okay, thank you for answering the question. Okay, so, folks, can I just have your attention back to the large group just for a sec? As much as we really, I really work hard to try to figure out how to include the folks online, and I gave them the choice of trying to do this, with them making comments, or observing your processes, and the decision is to observe your process. So know that I'll be coming around. If you happen to be telling a particularly poignant story that you don't want included in the Facebook Live, just jab me and I'll keep moving. Okay? Thanks, everyone. Okay, we're gonna go for a little walk here. Oh, okay. Okay, we're moving on from this group here because they're speaking in Dutch.
And she worked with the American Embassy, PEPFAR, USAID, and it became a huge, huge hit. And she wound up writing an article as to how working with a coach helped her make this documentary. And she wrote to me and she said, you can use my name, you're my coach, and use it in whatever way it best fits you. And what I came to realize is that I want to work with coaching clients that want to transform the world in big ways. And I have used those tools myself in making a global impact through my writing. And now coaching is my third career, and I finally know what I want to be when I grow up. And I have goosebumps every time I talk about this. And my challenge is I'm only here 8 weeks. I have to start from scratch. I don't know if I'm going to work for myself or for someone else. And I'm trying to trust the process. And that's hard. I'm really scared of trusting the process because it's like, what if the process is going to fail me this time? But I have to say, so far it hasn't. And and coaching is new to Africa. So like in the United States, coaching has been happening since the early 80s. Here it's just starting to take traction, and I want to be part of that transformational process so that the leaders here in Kenya or in Africa, and I don't mean leaders as in political leaders, I mean people that are choosing to lead their own life and make an impact. I want to be part of facilitating and working with them through coaching so that they get to know what their purpose is. And that's my story.
what's your target population? Who do you want to mentor? Only women? Do you have specific?
Ironically enough, I want to work with corporate leaders because I want to. My coaching style is the mind, soul, body experience, and I want to work with corporate leaders so that they can have a work-life balance, so they learn to tap into their intuition, and they learn to.
Can I jump in?
I'm sorry?
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Do you mind?
No.
And for the folks online, if you have comments or questions too, and I'm not an expert in this process, so forgive me. I wonder though if you're talking about your how and your what. Like your how is coaching.
Right.
Right? And you're talking about your target audience.
Right.
I'd encourage you to think about your why. Like, do you know what I mean?
Why do I want to do this is because I believe that each one of us have a set of skills that we're the only ones that can transform our world and make an impact. And each person has a unique combination of skills and gifts. And if you can put your top 5, 6, 7 skills and values together, then you can get to make an impact that only you can make. You know, like for example, mine is writing, intuition, energy work, holistic thinking, corporate background, and combining them to reach a certain population.
I don't know if the folks online can hear it or yourself, but the big difference I heard was, when he was talking about the computers and like, it's got this mega RAM and this feature, and like it's the features versus the benefits. Like when you talk about everyone has their own set of skills and whatever that they can unleash, that's very different than I coach corporate people, right?
Exactly.
Like it just lands so differently. Yeah.
And the bottom line is I want my client to learn how to tap into that inner wisdom and that inner guidance that they have so that they can move forward to make decisions and change. So it's not just from the outside, it's the outside and the inside. And with bankers and lawyers, I'm not going to use the words energy and spirituality and intuition, but those are the results that actually make them create holistic decisions.
I'm going to keep moving the camera around. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for letting us pop into your group.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're just going around the corner here. Apologies for the bumpy ride here. Just dip into another group.
What's driving you is outdoors itself, or is it the drive to connect people in any way?
I think it might be all.
So here's a key word. Balance is the key word.
Yeah.
It's the balance, because again, going back to connection, people are losing the connection with the outdoors, with individuals, personal connections.
Yeah.
Because-
You don't throw this away, but you just keep
But you
it
keep them
in
in
balance.
And so creating that constant self-awareness that, you know what, it's family time, it's dinner time, let me put the phone away.
Yeah, so that you know
So
how
that you
to
give
use
that
something
person,
in
exactly,
balance.
you give that person your full 100%, your 100%, attention. Yes. And even when you're out hiking, so can you imagine you're out hiking in nature, and all you're busy doing is taking
Selfies.
selfies
Yeah.
of nature, of things around you, and not seeing it like for yourself, not seeing it panoramic. You're seeing it through the lens of the whole time because you're like this, you're like this.
Is it? I'm wondering. I don't know what you're saying.
No,
I think it's
go
right.
ahead.
I just want to really go through. See, when I am on holiday and I take a selfie, my objective is to share with others what I am
and join. So it is connecting with them. And while I'm there, it's the only way I can connect with those who are not physically with them. I am also enjoying what I'm seeing, but I want to connect with my relative family who have left at home sleeping.
So you can see where you're
and
going.
saying, hey, you know, you need to come.
Yeah.
Or join me in my happiness, you know. And I've done it. I'm not much into social media personally, but I've done it to keep my family so hey, look at this place, and immediately if anyone's online, they will say, oh, this is beautiful. So I am connecting with that at that point in time, but I'm also connecting with that
To the folks online, I'm monitoring you, so let me know if you can't hear, if you need me to move the camera closer. I'm with you, I'm here.
You start appreciating so much more around you as you start looking at things from a different perspective, because you've now calmed your mind. You know, because in this really once you head, once you connect with nature, you've reached a point where you're like, okay.
Can I interrupt that beautiful sentiment? Just a timekeeping note. If you're giving yourselves roughly 3 equal pieces, you're pretty much at the end of your 1/3 of time. Yeah. If that's the process you want to follow. Yeah.
So Sabir, now I'm going to ask you, what is the thing that was pivotal in your life, or what are some things that really drive you to get up out of bed in the morning?
Oh. It just
Absolutely. Thank you for being honest about that.
it just puts me on level amongst the best. Yeah, and to be honest, I'm the one who's was coordinating basically everything from getting the quotations for the hotels to fund that is to accommodation.
Thanks, Julia, for letting me know that. Thank you.
To negotiate.
Still open, yeah.
I do, but yeah, I just still find myself doing the people are like, okay, you're the one who can invest and you know people, you can quickly get contacts and tend to push a little bit, you know how to have that stuff. So I still do that quite a lot when in the office. But in the office I prefer to delegate because I also know how to look like you're senior and you also do everything else. Cascaded down so that also you can teach people some of those skills. Some things are learned from everybody, able to do it the way you do it, but yeah, at least I'm able to teach others.
What parts of the trips did you like the most?
Again, for Mombasa was, I think for Mombasa was doing the Hina thing, getting done, different areas, just the hands and the legs. But also on top of that was also, I think just I think it's just a time to really, which of course also going out to the events and all, but yeah, I think it's just the inner parts because it's really the genuine stuff. Exploring the cuisine was very awesome. Especially in the evening, you know, it comes up, the streets come alive in the evening, so you get out and actually get the shawarma, potatoes, which are deep fried.
Do you want, you asked me to move the camera? Okay.
So tell me.
Okay, we're going on another little walk here. Sorry, Dubé. I think if we get away from the main window here.
Yeah. Well, it was an online program in the United States.
You're actually mentoring me.
You know, so sometimes I know I can only talk for me. Sometimes I have an idea in my head and I hold on so tight, but if I let go, that idea shows up, but sometimes in a very different format. And what I've been asked to do is trust the process, be open and meet new people, volunteer, whether it's my time or my information.
Folks, can I jump into just have your attention to the large group for a sec? If you're working in pairs and you're wanting to split your time, this would be a time to switch, only for groups that are in pairs, yeah, to make sure the other person has time in the process.
Okay, so
I don't think I understood.
Oh, everybody.
Well, we can start with, okay. You don't have to have a story. Maybe you can think of who are 2 or 3 or 4 people that have had an impact in your life. Can you think of?
Or maybe because we want to focus on you, right, and all the wonderful gifts that you bring to the world. If you think about a defining moment or something that it doesn't, like when we say story, it doesn't have to be this long epic saga, but just an example, like something. Think of a couple of things that happened in your life that shaped you.
Yeah.
Could be like a really simple, like someone told you about a topic that you were like, I had no idea that topic existed, and you just got all excited, or can you think?
You did something, and you after you did it, you felt so happy, and you realized like it was easy and effortless, and it made.
Yeah, so I think the thing that made me happy was the first day that I went to a children's home. I'm not sure.
To a what, sorry?
A children's home?
Children's home.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was the best moment for me, where we just went to play with the kids. Then I can remember there was one girl who came and cried. I was so blank, I didn't know what to do. And like, oh, I want your life. I want to get out of here, I want to go read, I want to do all that. So I felt more impact when I was talking to her and telling her that you just have to work hard, read, focus on your future, then life will go on as usual. Yeah, I think that was the best moment for me. Yeah. Yes.
And when you think about how you shared, like what I heard you were mentoring and giving, and you were mentoring this girl, but what were you giving her? Like what were you sharing of yourself?
I was just sharing it to her how I think I've had a bad background before. I've had some experience, so I can't share now. But I was like giving her examples on things we should focus on, don't care about what people will say, all that. Yes, that's exactly what I was doing.
So what I'm hearing is that you had a challenging childhood or background, and you know that this child was having a challenging background.
So I felt like I can be more impactful when I talk to her. Yes. I'm so sure I helped her.
You're so sure. You have. I hear that certainty.
Yeah.
And the other thing I hear is hope. Like you.
I was just going to say, it sounds like you gave her hope.
Yes.
Was it a girl child? I said her.
girl
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
You gave her hope.
Yes. That's the way I tried to say.
And when you look back at yourself, who gave you hope? Or what gave you hope? It doesn't have to be a who. It could be a what.
I think what gave me hope, after having the challenges I went through, I just came to home and I just say I have to just lay everything on the ground and start afresh. This is me, this is my life. I don't have to focus on what people will think about me. I can't say I'm a specific person who helped me because I'm still in the brain process. Because I told them, I'm just 22 years, planning to do my master's. So I just feel like in the moment right now, I'm just in the brain. That's why I asked you, how did you overcome? How did you change? So I think I'll go get a mentor somewhere. So
A go-getter?
I'll go get a mentor.
Go get a mentor. Okay.
Because I don't think I have that person who I can say impacted me.
So we're sliding a little bit into aspirational, right? We're talking about things that you want to be doing, which is totally wonderful. And if we want to bring the focus back to finding your why, what I'd love to hear, because that was a perfect story, right? It obvious, like when you spoke about it, you lit up, you were smiling, you looked energized, like your face changed, right? Can you give us another example? Because we talked about trying to look at themes, and we want to see if the same theme appears in different stories. So can you think about another example of when you felt strong, when you felt really secure and confident, and you just were, I'm going to say on fire. It doesn't have to be like, I don't mean loud and boisterous, but I mean like I'm in a really good place doing what I love right now.
Like what I hear from you, when you have like an inner strength, like almost like this. So if you think about that, like there was something that you knew. You weren't concerned about what other people thought. You would, what's another time that you showed up that way?
Okay, I'm not so sure. Okay.
And I would encourage you not to overthink it. Just tell me a time when you felt really good. What were you doing that made you feel happy, confident?
Okay, honestly, I've been going through a lot with my weight. So is this related?
Are you going to, if what I'm asking for is a story of when you felt powerful and strong?
So I felt like I was bigger than this. So I felt like people was shaming. So when I just started working out, I remember the first day I cried. I went to the house, I cried. I felt so good. I felt the...
You cried with happiness?
Yes. I felt so confident. I felt motivated.
Confident, motivated.
So, you took action and started working out, and it made you feel confident. It made you feel motivated.
To start doing the things I'm doing, start thinking of my future, start thinking of who I am as Janet. It makes me start seeing the world in a different.
So, given our, we don't have a huge amount of time for this. Just checking I'm just going to interrupt. So for the group that has 3 folks in it, just doing a time check with you that if you aren't onto your third person, okay.
So you're saying, working out made you feel motivated, made you feel you're taking care of yourself, made you feel moving forward.
Yes.
And
I felt free. I felt like
felt
free. The world is just there for you. Because before I was just laid back, I was just shy. I would go somewhere and just sit. I wouldn't talk. But now I feel more open. I'm ready to take any opportunities.
Yeah.
So
That's where I am right
So to me, those two stories that you've told about being in the children's home for the first time and starting to take action around your weight, there's huge similarities there. So the things that, and you're the expert in your own life, so
Yes.
this is only the lens that I'm seeing it through. You know, if it doesn't resonate for you, don't worry about it. But the things that I see are super similar. Are the condition was being unhappy. The start was adversity. Something was going wrong. And the same, when you talked about your weight, the same thing happened with your face, which sounds like giving people faith, giving people confidence, giving people hope. So potentially your why could be something like, I transform adversity into faith, confidence, and hope. Something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
And the other thing I heard in both with your relationship with that little girl in the center, and then with the relationship with your dealing with issues of weight, is that showing the girl that she mattered and she was worth the effort to change, and you matter and you're worth the effort to change. And those, I mean, and you have so much credibility because you've been someone who's had a challenging background. You know where that little girl came from. Oh, goosebumps.
Mm-hmm. So maybe another key piece building on what you said is empathy.
Yeah.
Right? That might be a key part of your why. Right? You're not coming from a ivory tower university, I'm going to lecture you on, fitness, like nutritional, whatever. It's all from a place of empathy. I've stood in your shoes. I know what that feels like. Yeah. And I've risen, right? I have faith. I have confidence. I'm a strong, capable, confident woman. Yeah.
And you talked about, when you step from that place, your face lights up. There's freedom. There's joy. But I also heard choice. You're showing people that you have a choice, regardless of where you come from. That's life-changing.
Hey, people online, give me a comment here. How's this working for you? How's the audio? Is it any louder? Are you okay? As I'm walking over to this third group here, I'm going to see if Erica's okay with us filming.
So my family is, my dad's from the beach.
Erica, are you okay if I film, or you want me to keep walking?
I think maybe today keep walking.
Okay, I'm walking on by. You don't have to. Yeah, I totally respect that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have some they don't have to buy foldable one. What do you think?
Oh, I hear some. Can I just? I hear you guys speaking English. Can I hang out here, or do you want me to keep on walking?
Do you mind?
No,
it's just easier.
Yes,
Yeah.
Not a problem at all. Okay.
I just feel like my way, the way that I thought of attacking
Okay, for the folks online, I know this is it's quite a privilege to be able to pop into some of the groups that are okay with us listening, and obviously some of them are talking about some more personal things and don't want it filmed, which is totally understandable. So just doing a time check, we've got about another 5 minutes. So feel free, if you have questions, comments, pop them into the comment box here. I'll just maybe ask you a couple questions here. Are you working on your why? Has anyone come up with any ideas? I think Simon would say no. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty consistent, yeah. Oh, thanks, Juliet. You're saying people listening to this after the fact, sometimes something powerful came up from this empathy. I also find myself being empathetic to people. Juliet, have you thought about your why? Could empathy be part of yours? Is that something that you're toying with? And by the way, I love that this has been helpful. I know it's a bit of a chaotic process with the small group work.
So I gave up organizing this whole thing, and then someone everyone, I think, okay,
Oh, sorry, Juliet. What did you want me to repeat?
It's a wardrobe.
I can see in the for people that are looking at this later in the comments, Juliet said say that again. I'm wondering if it was the comment around, you said that empathy resonated with you, so I'm just wondering if that could potentially be part of your why. Have you worked on your why, and could you see empathy being a part of that, Juliet? Where can people buy the book? Yeah. I don't know if it's available locally, but yeah. So folks, just doing a time check. We've got just a couple of minutes before we come back, and I know that this may have stirred up some positive memories and some not, maybe some positive memories, so make sure that you have good self-care, and yeah, you're doing some powerful work that's not easy, so I thank you for that. And with your permission, we'll come back together again in just a couple of minutes.
But there's some things which are cut down really bad. Very jump but it depends where. Yeah, and I remember being in some yeah, I know that.
Juliet, I think that the question I asked that you were talking about, that you're referencing, was in terms of your own why. You mentioned that empathy resonated with you. So my question was, I'm wondering if that could be part of your why, if you've worked on discovering your own why. And you don't necessarily have to answer that publicly if you don't want, but that was what I was wondering about. Oh, I love that, Juliet. That is so great. That's so great. For people listening to this later on, Juliet said it definitely is part of my why. I talk to people about my experiences and tell them that it is possible to rise and make something out of a messy life. Wow, that's very, very inspirational. Thank you for sharing that.
That's why you
I hear you, Juliet, about the messy past. I have empathy. Yeah, I have empathy for you around that, for sure. Okay, folks, if you can gather around and bring your attention back to the large group, please. Kennedy, can I ask you to put that around? And also, do you want to just plug in the, thanks. So we're doing better, just on a technical note, we're doing much better, thank goodness, online with the camera that is filming this. We're not doing great on my computer, which is using the same Wi-Fi, so I don't understand. But I've just tried posting, and I've never seen this before. I just tried to put a bunch of resources that we're about to talk about in the Facebook group, and they're showing up as grayed out, which you can see on the screen here. And normally when you post something that doesn't post, it says it hasn't posted, and try to post again. So has anyone seen this gray thing with the line before? Oh, okay, well, let me try that. Okay. So just in case for the folks online, if you hear me talking about resources and I'm referencing the link and you can't see the link, we'll get those to you. They're also all on the agenda as well. So how was that? We've got about 15 minutes left, and we can talk for a few minutes about how that was for you, and then shift into a really quick thing on staying motivated, staying on track with your why. Or we can spend all of our time talking about how that process was for you. I don't want to try to stuff things too much. So do you want to try to get to the motivation resources, or would you rather spend the rest of our time on the why?
Yeah, motivation resources.
Yeah? Okay. Okay. Which I have all prepared for you, and the internet's down. So.
Yeah, mine too, actually.
Is it down? Okay. But it's working on the phone, so that's great that the internet is going to the most important place. So, it might, yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it'll just come back up again. There must be a conference on. Is there a conference happening today? Because there's so many. So. Anyways, how was that for you? Just as we slide very quickly into the motivation, was it helpful? Were you able to kind of start thinking about your? Say more, Erica. Sorry.
No, because actually one of the.
Yeah.
Great.
You start thinking so broad, and suddenly you start focusing on what's actually really important.
Yeah.
And I know this exercise that's going on. At some point, I'm sure everybody here will eventually go home and start doing this exercise more often, just to really discover and pinpoint, really, what is my why? Why do I get up every day? Because sometimes you think it's one thing, sometimes you think it's another thing.
Yeah.
And yet, it could be something completely different.
Yeah.
So this is really good.
Good. And I know for me, when I've done it with two colleagues, with Marcia and Rachel, who I'll talk about in a second, I found it so helpful to have another pair of eyes and another pair of ears. It's like, I never saw that. It was right in front of my nose, and I never noticed that. Like, how cool is that? So yeah, I really encourage, if it feels good for you, to continue this with some people that know you well.
Especially, like Moran asked me some really like questions. For example, I would say like, oh, I love the interesting conversations, and then she would ask, I don't know, like, and that really helped to dig deeper.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it can also be cliche, like, oh, interesting people, yeah, why?
Yeah.
And that was really good.
Yeah. Or what makes it interesting.
I didn't ask her why.
Were you tempted? Did you find yourself going into the what and the how? Like, I noticed that with one group, right? Like, I do coaching with, corporate people, right? Like, that's the easier thing, right? Like, I teach, right? I'm a teacher. That's, the what and the how. So for me, part of the process is staying up there, right, on the mountain, like what, because I'm very comfortable coming down the mountain, right, into the detailed stuff. But it's like, oh, what? Because sometimes that top of the mountain there's some clouds up there. Like I can't quite see. So, okay. I'm not having any luck getting internet still on my laptop, but that's okay. But Kennedy, I'll ask you to make double sure that you're looking at the comments, because I can't see them if anyone's making a comment or a question. So one of the things, it came up. Okay, good. One of the things that I love to do is to leave you with a bunch of resources so that you can continue as you wish. And part of what I'm working on, I'm very fascinated with motivation. Right? What motivates people? What demotivates people? So a couple of things that I came up with are, and you might look at some of these and your gut might go, ugh, which is totally fine, right? Some of these you might get, sparked and interested, and others might be completely irrelevant for you. One of them I've been trying to meditate more. And if you know the app Simple Habit, it's a free app. And Cory Muscara's 31 Days of Mindfulness is on Simple Habit. My brain is like exploding. He'll say these like simple, elegant, beautiful, articulate things. And part of me, as I'm sitting there meditating, is like, I want to write this down. So that link is there. And you can get this through Simple Habit. So this is his website. And he used to be a monk and meditate for 18 hours a day. He no longer does that. But he's super approachable and funny and lovely and smart. And it's really helped me when I'm sort of thinking big and broad and visionary and that. So again, this link is in the agenda. What I may or may not have put in the agenda is you probably want to get it through Simple Habit. That's the app. You won't pay for it. Pardon me?
You did put it on the agenda.
Oh, good. Oh, yay me. Then in terms of motivation, I just put a couple of links to, I came across this post about making a motivation that fits you. And so she talks in here about, like when I think of motivational things, I think of vision boards, which kind of make me go, whatever. But she talks about you could have an audio motivation. You can have visual motivations. You can have, and I just perked up. I thought, oh, I can make something that fits me. And speaking of that, I have this picture here. I took a picture. I was going to bring it in. I'm like, that's too big. This sits beside my desk. And for those of you who know Danielle Laporte's work and her core desired feelings, so this is just a plain frame that I've put some nice paper in, and then I write in whiteboard marker on it. So this is my core desired feeling, which isn't maybe going to make any sense to you, and that's okay. The themes that I'm working on for the year, and some big goals for the year. And I just really like having it there and easy, and I see it all the time. Again, may work for you, may not. That's okay. These are just different examples. Then I also put a link to this survey. This is based, so this is a survey that I conduct, and it's very quick. There's only a few questions in it. It's based on research done by the National Geographic, and it looks at what motivates you. And as soon as you answer the questions and click enter, you'll get your answers. And I think this is, if you know what motivates you, then you can customize your goals, right? So if you're motivated by affiliation, for example, which is one of the options, you probably want to have an accountability person, right? If you're not at all motivated by affiliation, then maybe the thought of having an accountability partner makes you go blah, right? So again, just another way to customize your motivation. Lots of people use vision boards. They're really popular, so I put a link to how to make one that actually works, okay, if that's something that compels you. And then, because I'm such a learning junkie, I love this. It's how to make a learning bucket list, right? So once you have that why, you know, you probably want to think about, are your whats and your hows in that wheelhouse, right? So this could be a way of continuing to think about that. And then also, Rachel Allen is a complete wizard. We exchange surveys all the time. She's technically a copywriter, but she does so much more than that. So she's done all the copy on my website, and she is starting to do some workshops on finding your why. So I'm just in that process with her right now, and it is, I am so loving it. So I've put a link to her, it's called Bolt from the Blue. That's her copywriting site. You might think, why the heck are you linking that? Her one about finding your why, that website isn't quite up yet, but she knows that I have, that I've put this in here. And she's also kindly put a PDF together for you with some resources, including really good questions to ask when you're finding your why. So I will get that into the resource portal. You can look for that. I put a link to Simon Sinek's site with some tools, his online courses. And then, how many people here love to take those online personality, discover your strength, whatever things? Have you heard of Jonathan Field's The Good Life Project? Okay, he's a lovely guy. This is the last year, unfortunately, that happened, but he does some summer camp for adults. Like, it's incredible. I went one year in New York, and it's full of entrepreneurs, change makers, and your mind just gets poof. So he has just done a brand new assessment on finding your spark. So what really brings you alive. So it's very connected to finding your why. And the link is in the agenda, and it's free, and you'll get your two key sparks, and you'll get a good description of those. If you want to get the in-depth report, that's $29 US. Any questions, comments about that? Can you see yourself using any of those motivational resources? If so, which ones really pop for you? Or
where will we find them? We'll find it on the Facebook page.
The resources? Yeah. So I've put the links on the Facebook Live. Okay. Oh, Gloria says, this was a hands-on and really reflective session. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Gloria. It's looking like they didn't post, so I will link all of those in the comments section of the Facebook Live, and they're also all in the agenda. The one that's not in the agenda, because Rachel just did it the other day, is is the PDF. So, but I will put that there. The Facebook Live, it takes a few minutes to generate, but it'll be up and ready. And then I also, you may not know this, but I also put them all on YouTube. So I have a learning and development YouTube channel. If I can just quickly bring this up. So all of the Facebook Lives are now in here. Come on, you. Right in here. So they're all there. Okay. So you can get the Facebook Lives from the Facebook group, or you can get them from YouTube. And if you really wanted to do a deep dive into this, highly recommend working with Rachel. She's based in the States, so we do all this work virtually. She's incredible. She's so good. Okay. Wow, where did the 2 hours go? Went fast. Feel free to dive into the other general L&D resources that are at the bottom of that agenda. Any announcements? Anything coming up in your community that you want to share with the group, including folks online? Anything? Any events? No? Okay. If you haven't already, I'm just going to send this around for donations or M-Pesa.
That the app?
Simple Habit, yes. Yeah, it's a really nice icon, yeah. So the donation's going to send that around once more. Our next meeting is October 26th, so mark that on your calendars if you haven't already. Mark Kamau is going to come speak. He is the head of user experience for the BRIC. If you don't know the BRIC, they are wildly innovative, cool, African-centered, amazing folks. And they make a thing that looks like a brick that gives internet access in really remote, rugged areas. So there's Samburu women who are teaching themselves how to read and write thanks to the brick. Super cool. So he's going to come, and then November 16th. Based on the fact in the poll that people wanted a few more guest speakers than networking sessions. Today was an example of a networking session. Would love to hear, what do you want? Some options are mobile learning. So I have someone standing by, I can't guarantee she'd be available on that date, but she can do a workshop on learning management systems, Google Apps, Moodle, gamifying learning, any of that. She's great. Have you heard of these women poachers poaching in Zimbabwe? They do incredible work. I'd love to try to get a hold of them. And Yogadishu, this Canadian Somali woman working with trauma survivors through yoga in Mogadishu. Peace Tech, those guys have said that they were interested at some point in being a speaker. So what sparks you? What topic are you interested, or do you have a specific person that you'd like to come speak? Anything?
I would be interested in if someone had a background in LinkedIn and utilizing that tool.
In what, sorry?
LinkedIn.
In LinkedIn. I have the perfect person. Oh, interesting. She's in Washington, D.C. How would that time zone work? Probably not well.
7 hours.
Oh, that would be good for her. She might do it. She's crazy. She's got 3 children, 2 twins, and has the energy of superhuman strength.
But picking up from what she's saying, there was a session that I think L&D once held, which I had planned to come but couldn't make it, but it was for upping one's tech skills.
Oh, I did that. Yeah.
You did,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that could be built into that. I would love it if there was a session like that.
More tech skills?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Like how to use different tech tools and stuff? Mm-hmm. Great.
Actually, you also had the session on social media, which I remember we came for a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful because they had a whole host of tools.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the different applications for the various tools.
Oh, you're speaking my
research,
language.
Education, and the like.
Oh.
I was interested.
Has anyone heard of Zapier? That's my newest. Oh. Zapier is a tool that, if you want this tool to talk to this tool, it integrates them and makes. So, for example, we're trying to figure out. Just to give you a quick example, we're trying to figure out when someone pays for one of my online courses, how do we trigger them getting all of these emails? So like an email X, an hour before the course starts, and 3 weeks. Zapier will do that. If you have a spreadsheet of data and you change a thing in the spreadsheet to say, oh, Kennedy's finished module 1, Zapier will like, poof, send Kennedy an email saying, yay, way to go, Kennedy. Like, this tool is incredible, which I have not used yet, but I'm working with Rachel to, so. Okay, so I hear like tech tools, like social media tech tool stuff, LinkedIn specifically. Do you want me to put maybe I'll put a poll up on the Facebook group? Because I want to get this, we need to decide quick if we're going to do a guest speaker to get that sorted. Okay, great. Okay, and December, no meeting. Think about places that you might want to nominate to receive our donations, okay? Because we'll do that soon. And thank you. Thanks for choosing to spend your time here and talking about deep, important things, obviously close to your heart and your soul. So the world needs more of the cool things you do. So thanks, everyone. This will be posted on Facebook almost instantly. Thanks to everybody online. You guys rock. So happy to... Juliet has said, Anisa Education are finalists in the Solve MIT Challenge. Voting ends today at 5 p.m. GMT. We need to mobilize as many votes as possible. Oh, okay, so the link is there. Go vote. Juliet, maybe you could put a thing about what is this Solve MIT Challenge? But it sounds great, so vote. And feel free to put posts in the roundtable. When I hear about job openings, I try to post them. If you have questions, comments, things you're trying to figure out, please, this is our community, so use it. And happy weekend. Hopefully we'll see you next month. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everyone online. And I just want to hit end and we're done.
Okay. All yours.